Hi, welcome everyone. I am Dr. Rajkumar from School of Physics and Material Science, Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology, Patiala. In this video, we are going to discuss about the solution of simultaneous linear equations. The equation and equations are shown in this slide as well. So we have to find the solution of these equations simultaneously, where we using different methods, direct and iterative methods. So topics to be covered in this video are brief introduction, then pivoting, Gauss elimination method, Jacobi method, and Gauss-Seidel method. So to begin with, we have different methods of finding the solution of simultaneous equations. These are direct and iterative methods. In direct method, finite number of steps are used to find the roots, and in iterative method, based on successive approximation, we can find the roots. So under direct method, we'll study Gauss elimination method of finding the solution, and in iterative method we have Jacobi method and Gauss-Seidel method. Now let us explain what is pivot or pivoting. The pivot or pivot element is the element of matrix or an array which is selected to do certain calculations. What kind of matrix or array? This is the matrix or array of coefficient of the simultaneous equations. So we have to do certain calculation with respect to a certain element in the matrix, that is called pivot element. A pivot entry is usually required to be at least distinct from 0 and often distant from it. So the pivot element should not be 0, and in this case finding this element is called pivoting. So process of finding this element which can act as a pivot or pivot element is called pivoting. Pivoting may be followed by interchange of rows or columns to bring the pivot to a fixed position. If only rows are interchanged, it is called partial pivoting. If both rows and columns are interchanged, it is called complete pivoting. Then is procedure of partial pivoting. In the first stage of elimination, uh, we are eliminating the coefficients of the matrix of coefficient of the simultaneous equations. So in the first stage of elimination, the first column is searched for the largest element in the magnitude. Then it is then brought as first pivot by interchanging the first equation with the equation having largest element in the magnitude. Okay. Then in the second stage of elimination, the second column is searched for largest element in the magnitude among the rest of the elements, n-1 elements, leaving first element. Then this element is brought as second pivot by interchange second equation with the equation having the largest element in the magnitude. And this process is continued until the last equation. Now procedure of complete pivoting is similar to that of partial pivoting, except you can instead of or in place of only rows, you can also exchange rows and columns. So the matrix in equation is searched for largest element in magnitude and it bring it as first pivot. That is, in addition to interchange of equations, the position of variables are also interchanged in complete pivoting. So you note that if matrix is diagonally dominant or real or symmetric and positive definite, then there is no need of pivoting. So then no pivoting is necessary. That equations can be solved without pivoting. Let us consider three equations, simultaneous equation whose coefficients are given in the form of this matrix. So left hand side coefficients are here and right hand side coefficients are separated by this vertical line, so in the form of matrix. Now we see that in first equation or in first row, the coefficient at diagonal element is 1 and in rest of the rows it is 0. So maximum number is out of these three is 1. So first row is diagonally dominant and it will remain as it is with respect to this point. This is called pivot. So now we have second equation, it has coefficient 0, and third equation it has coefficient 2 at second column. So we have to exchange row 2 with row 3 such that now this diagonal element will dominate. So after exchange of rows and column we have 2 here. So okay, so now our matrix is diagonally dominant with respect to this element and this element, and third equation as it is. Okay, so you keep remember that you have to also exchange these elements as well if you are changing the position of these rows. So this process is called partial pivoting. Now let us consider first direct method, Gauss elimination method. We explain this method with the help of a suitable example. Let us consider three simultaneous equations in x1, x2 and x3. So these are three variables. So equations are 2x1 plus x2 plus x3 is equal to 5. Then second equation is 4x1 minus 6x2 is equal to minus 2. Third coefficient is 0 here. Then third equation is minus 2x1 plus 7x2 plus 2x3 is equal to 9. So these are set of three equations. So let us write this equation in matrix form like this one. So we have a matrix of this form. So we have written all the coefficients of first equation in first row, second equation in second row, and third equation in third row. Okay, so now we have to do partial pivoting here, because in first row at this diagonal place we have 2, whereas in second row we have 4. So 4 is more dominating, 4 is a larger number as compared to 2. So we have to exchange the position of R1 with respect to R2. So R1 will come here and R2 will go at first point. So R1 with the exchange of R2, we have new matrix. So 4 minus x 0 and minus 2, it will come at first place, and the first equation previously row will go to second place. Now then in order to find the solution, we have to reduce these numbers to 0 as well. Okay, so on performing the row operation, R2 is equal to R2 minus 1 by 2 R1 and R3 is equal to R3 plus 1 by 2 R1. And doing this operation, we find that the first coefficient of second and third row becomes 0, and corresponding values of second, third and fourth column, they are also changed. Now we have to make this coefficient equal to 0. So on operating R3 is equal to R3 minus R2, we reduces with this coefficient again to 0. So in a way we have made upper diagonal matrix where lower diagonal coefficients are 0. So now again rewriting this matrix in the form of equation, we have x3 is equal to 2 directly, then 4x2 plus x3 is equal to 6, and then 4x1 minus 6x2, third is 0, is equal to minus 2. So we have x3 from above equation. On solving we get x2 is equal to 1 and x1 is equal to 1. So our solution is 1, 1 and 2, which is the unique solution of above equation. So this is kind of Gauss elimination method in which few steps are followed in order to deduce the solution. Next is iterative method, and first one is Jacobi's iteration method. It is to be noted that these iterative methods are not 100% accurate like that of direct method, but you can increase their accuracy by increasing the number of iterations. So the first iterative technique used is called Jacobi method. This method has following two assumptions. The simultaneous equation must have unique solution, and the coefficient matrix A of the equation has no zeros on its main diagonal. So these are two assumptions of Jacobi iterative method. If any of the diagonal values, that is a11, a22, so on, an are 0, then rows and columns should be interchanged in order to obtain a coefficient matrix that has non-zero values on diagonal. So you have to do complete pivoting in order to satisfy this assumption of non-zero diagonal element. So let us consider a set of simultaneous equations. So these are n equations in n variables x1, x2, so on up to xn, and right hand side we have b1, b2, so on up to bn. So let us discuss about the procedure of Jacobi method. So let us solve the first equation for x1. So find After doing the complete pivoting, find value of x1 from first equation, x2 from second equation, and xn from nth equation. So it will look like this one. Okay, so this is these x1, x2, and xn, so on, they are our first approximation to the solution. So but you have to make an initial approximation of the solution for putting the value in right hand side of first equation, second equation, so on. So you have a set of assumption for initial approximation. You assume that this is a set of initial approximation, and you have to substitute their values in above n equation in order to get new approximation. So substitute the above values of xi into right hand side of the rewritten equation in form of equations to obtain the first approximation. So first iteration is completed after this procedure is done. Okay. Similarly, second approximation is obtained by substituting the first approximation x values in right hand side of rewritten equations. By doing repetitive iterations, one will form a sequence of approximation that often converges to actual solution. So let us consider an example of following set of equations. So we have these three equations, three simultaneous equations. We have to solve them in order to get the value of x1, x2, and x3 using Jacobi method. So rewrite these equations as follows. So you see that it has non-zero diagonal element and they are dominating. Okay, so there is no need of pivoting here. You simply rewrite these equations in first equation. You can find x1 from this equation, then rewrite second equation in order to get x2 and so on x3. So these are x1, x2, and x3. But we do not know about the initial approximation of x1, x2, x3. So let us assume that they are 0. So because we don't know, so let us assume that they are 0. So after substituting the 0 values of the 3 variable in first approximation become x1 is equal to, after substituting x2 and x3 is equal to 0, we have x1 comes out to be minus 0.2, x2 comes out to be, you keep in mind that this x1 in second equation is the initial approximation and not the value coming in first approximation. So this is the difference here. X2 and x1 and x3 are 0, and we'll get x2 is equal to 0.222. Similarly, x3 is equal to minus 0.429. Okay. So similarly, now repeating the above steps, now the first approximation to x value become initial approximation until you get required accuracy in the solution. So the approximation of xi at each stage is now listed in table below. These are variables x1, x2, and x3, and these are iterations. The first row represents the iteration. At 0th iteration, that is initial approximation, we consider all three values 0. At first approximation, we calculated these three values. They are shown here. Similarly, on second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh iteration, we are getting different values of x1, x2, and x3. Now, it is observed that after sixth iteration, which gives x1 is equal to 0.186, x2 is equal to 0.331, and x3 is equal to minus 0.423. At seventh iteration, the values of x1, x2, x3, they are repeating itself. So it means we have already converged to the solution of the simultaneous equation. So our solution is x1 is equal to 0.186, x2 is equal to 0.331, and x3 is equal to minus 0.423. So this is how this method works. Next iterative method is Gauss-Seidel method. So it is the modified version of Jacobi method. This modification is not much difficult to implement, and it often requires fewer iteration to produce same degree of accuracy. So in lesser number of iteration, you can have more accuracy. In Jacobi method, the value of xi obtained in nth approximation remain unchanged until the entire n plus 1th approximation has been calculated. So this was in Jacobi method. But in Gauss-Seidel method, one uses new value of xi as soon as they are known. Okay, so we'll explain in next slides. Once you have determined x1 from first equation, its value is then used in second equation to obtain new x2. Similarly, the new x1 and x2 are used in third equation to calculate new x3 and so on. So let us move on to the procedure of Gauss-Seidel method. consider the same sample equation as we have used in Jacobi method. Uh, these are the three same equations. So this example is similar to that of Jacobi method. So now these equations are rewritten as follows. The same steps, x1, x2, x3. So first equation gives x1, second equation gives x2, and third equation gives x3. And there is no pivoting required because already explained that it is diagonally dominant. So now since actual solution is not known here as well, so we consider initial approximation same as that of Jacobi method, 0, 0 and 0 simply. The new value of x1 is then, after solving from first equation, we'll get minus 0.2. Okay. Now we have new value of x1. So we find new value of x2 now. So now x2 is equal to, we see that at x1 we are putting new value of x1, not x1 is equal to 0. And x3 we don't have x3, so we use the initial approximation of x3 is equal to 0, and we find x2 comes out to be 0.156. Similarly, now we have new value of x1 and x2. We use these values in x3 and a third equation, and we find the value of new x3 minus 0.508. Okay, so the first approximation of x1, x2, x3 is 0.2, 0.156 and minus 0.508. Repeating the above iteration with new value of xi will produce the sequence of approximation as given in the table below. So we have the similar table as that in Jacobi method. We have x1, x2, x3 in first column. Then in first row we have number of iteration. We started with the first initial approximation of 0, 0, 0. In first iteration we get minus 0.2, 0.156 and minus 0.508. Similarly, on repeating second, third, fourth, fifth iteration, we get these kind of numbers. And you remember that after fourth iteration, we are getting the same number in fifth iteration for x1, x2 and x3. Okay, so this situation comes in Jacobi method at 6th and 7th iteration. So number of iterations are reduced in this method. So the solution is 0.186, 0.331 and minus 0.42423 for these set of equations. So now it is too important to note here that both of these iterative methods are not necessarily always converge. So it is not always necessary. You have to place the rows and column accordingly in order to get the required solution. One can compute pivoting for making approximation to converge towards the solution. That is, coefficient matrix A is strictly made diagonally dominant matrix, then solution will always converge, obviously. An n by n matrix A is said to be strictly dominating matrix if these are in first column we have diagonal elements a11, a22 and so on, a_n. They must be greater than the absolute value of sum of rest of the coefficient in that rows. So a11 magnitude should be greater than absolute value of a12 plus a13, so on, a1n and so on for the other equations. So that kind of matrix is called diagonally dominant matrix, strictly diagonally dominant. That is, if absolute value of each entry on main diagonal is greater than the sum of absolute value of other entries in the same row. Okay, so in this video we have discussed about the pivoting, how to do select pivot and how to do pivoting, the partial pivoting, the complete pivoting, various methods. We have discussed like direct method of Gauss elimination method, iterative method of Jacobi and Gauss-Seidel, and we have discussed about their various assumptions. So thank you for watching this video.